way before you are qualified to apply for that position, I think you should Google it ahead and look at the requirements so that you will grow into the position, you meet all of the requirements before it is too late. So the mistake that most people make is that they do not check out those requirements until the nick of time, when they then realize, oh my God, I need to do a master's. Then they go and check the website only to find out that they ought to have been fellowship pastor, or they ought to have been class governor, or they ought to have been a captain in a team before they find out. So you don't want to be that guy. You want to always be prepared. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today on the channel, I will be discussing something you would find very useful, whether you're a professional or you're an entrepreneur trying to improve on your skills, or you're a student in your final year, or you're even in your first year and you're already thinking about where you're going to do your master's. And I'm going to share why it is important. On Thursday or last week, I think, I was at Redeemers University and I had a mentoring session with some of the students, and I said to some of them, especially those in their first year, that I'm always very excited to talk to students in their first year. Why? Because at that state, it's a tabula rasa. I mean, it's a clean slate, and you can basically decide what you want to make of your 5 years in the university. It's like a clean canvas, and you can just make a big splash and you can design it in whatever way you want. So, if I could do university all over again, what would I do differently? One of the things I would do differently is that I wouldn't wait until I am in 500 level before I Google that dream school where I want to do my master's and then look at the requirements. I will do that when I am in 100 level. So for the 100 level students, this is very, very important. I think you should pay rapt attention. So if your dream school is Harvard University, for instance, I would expect that in your first year, second year, earlier on in your studies, you should go to the website of Harvard University, Harvard Law School. I mean, whether you're a law student or you're an accounting student or economics student, whatever degree or course you're studying, wherever you want to do your dream master, whether it's at MIT, for the guys in the sciences, you go on MIT's website. Then you Google the requirements to do a master's at MIT, and then you write it out in a sheet of paper, paste it beside your bed, and throughout your, the years or your stay in the university, you're basically just ticking off the boxes. So if it says that you need to acquire certain skills before you graduate, that is exactly what you're going to do. So for instance, I'm thinking, first, it might say that you need a perfect CGPA 5.0, or it says you need at least a 2.1, or you need, at the very least. That's exactly what you're going to be looking to get before you graduate. It may even say you need some leadership skills that you need to have, for instance, be a leader in a team. So you can be captain of the sports team, for instance. Or you can decide to be, like pastor in your youth fellowship. I mean, any leadership skill will just pass for that opportunity, and you can get that. So by the time you are graduating from the university, you would have met all of the requirements to apply into Oxford or MIT without even sweating. Now that is a way to prepare for any goal at all in life. So way before you are qualified to apply for that position, I think you should Google it ahead and look at the requirements so that you grow into the position, you meet all of the requirements before it is too late. So the mistake that most people make is that they do not check out those requirements until it is too late, until the nick of time, when they then realize, oh my God, I need to do a master's. Then they go and check the website only to find out that they ought to have been fellowship pastor, or they ought to have been class governor, or they ought to have been a captain in a team before they find out. So you don't want to be that guy. You want to always be prepared. Like they say, success is preparation meeting opportunity. So you have to be prepared at all times. So that's the first thing. Now, but the subject for today's episode is whether you should be getting a master's. Is a master's a complete waste of time? And if you should be getting a master's, should you be getting a regular master's or an MBA, right? So some of these questions are on the minds of most people, even including mine, right? So I'm going to be sharing with you the factors which would sort of shape that decision making and tell you whether you should be doing a master's now or you should be doing it later, or whether you shouldn't even do a master's at all. So these are some of those very important conversations to have. Now, the first thing I found out is that the need to obtain a master's degree is industry specific. And what do I mean? So there are some industries that obtaining a master's is like you're just going on sabbatical, or you're going on leave, and it's probably going to be unpaid, and you're just going to flex. Because your profession requires more practical, skills, things that you're going to need on the job. So getting a master's really doesn't put you in a better stead than the next guy. So it just feels like a waste of time. For instance, guys in engineering, you probably should be getting like more, and their certification courses, of course, which puts you in a better stead, gives you an advantage over the next guy. But maybe when you graduate from university, going for a master's might not be the best move for somebody in engineering. Now, what about those in accounting or in banking or in finance? You would often hear that, getting your ICANN or ACCA might be a better move than actually going for an MSc in accounting. For lawyers in finance, actually working in a finance team for a period of time and learning, and making sure you close transactions and learning the job, conducting due diligence may be a better move than actually going for a master's. Because when you go for a master's, you most likely are going to return to the same position or the same role that you occupied just before the master's. Because guess what? For finance, it is the number of transactions, your experience, conducting transactions from start to finish, from negotiation to closing, that will earn you that promotion and not a master's degree. So you got to do some research on what industry you operate in before you should go for a master's. So think about your industry. What are the big guys doing? What is giving people, that extra advantage? Very important. Now, the second thing that I found out is that, again, in some profession, like I said earlier, professional qualifications actually trump master's degree, at entry level. So ACCA, CFA for the guys in finance, and PHRI for the guys in HR, ICSAN, etc, etc. And I also made this point already that on-the-job experience is far more important in certain professions than obtaining a master's. So if you're working in finance, getting on-the-job experience in addition to your professional certification can give you that jump that you need, and a master's may not necessarily be able to do that. Now, what then do you need a master's for? I guess that's the important conversation to have, right? There are so many things that you can do with a master's degree, right? So if you don't fall in any of those categories, you may fall in these following categories. 1, you had a very low, or you graduated in a very low class of grades in your undergraduate studies. So either you made a 2-2 or you passed, or a very low 2-1, and you're trying to remedy that by going for a master's degree, because in a master's, a fresh start. and you may end up graduating with distinctions, and that may improve your prospects of even getting called for interviews or eventually getting a job. So that may be a good reason. So if you're trying to remedy bad undergraduate grades, then definitely a master's degree is a superb idea. Now, there are other things that a master's can be used for. So if, for instance, you're looking to immigrate into another country, boom, a master's degree is offering graduates a very easy way to immigrate into other countries: Canada, Norway, United States, the UK. So you can use your master's admission for ease of immigration, right? So that is another reason why you may want to consider a master's degree. The other reason why people consider master's degree is maybe the master's degree is the minimum requirement to work in that position. So there are some engineering or professions, right, or fields that you need at least a master's degree in order to be qualified to do that role. If, for instance, I think architecture and some form of engineering, in effect, it's a combined degree. In fact, it's almost automatic. Once you finish the bachelor's degree, you just graduate into the master's class. So that's understandable. It's the minimum requirement to do your job. Now, most times for those who want to lecture, the minimum qualification is also a master's degree to be a lecturer, right? So you would want to immediately after your undergraduate study just go for a master's, because it's the minimum qualification in your profession. Again, in certain international organizations, so for instance, the WTO, the minimum qualification even for an internship at the WTO is a master's degree. So unless there are exceptions for those who have worked in the industry for some time and they have trade experience, that can be used to substitute the master's degree, but a master's degree is the minimum qualification that you need for that. So guys, you just have to be sure that you're making these informed decisions. So put together, there's so many other things to consider, and in the next video I am going to be sharing with you some other factors which should go into your choice of country to do your master's, the choice of institution, what other factors to consider, where the school is located, and all of those things. And finally, I'm going to also be discussing whether you should get a master's or an MBA. Is there any difference? What are the advantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons of each one? And for the lawyers, should you be getting an LLM or an MBA? You know, what's the trend and what is informing those trends? So I'm going to be discussing that in the next video.